Hello, hello. Welcome to Healthy Perspectives, a podcast that takes on current cultural and social issues through a clinical lens. Hello, hello. All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we appreciate your time. And without further ado, we bring to you sex. Today, we're going to talk about sex. Probably not going to be your typical talk. What you get out there, you get all kinds of people out there who they talk about, sexual dysfunction, especially in the mental health field. We talk about sexual dysfunction, but I want to talk to you about sexual function. That's right. Sex is a normal behavior. Now, it has an abnormal side. So we're going to take a big picture. I want to blow it up. And let me tell you first, let's get back to why I'm doing this and why today. Over the past year or so, there seems to be a massive increase in what I would consider sexual addiction. Patterns of clients coming in, and they come in for one thing, they come in for another thing, and yet we find out that they have addictive behaviors that are associated with sexual patterns. Okay. What's an addictive behavior? Look, truth is, I have addictions of different sorts. Some people are addicted to food. Some people are addicted to alcohol or drugs. Some people are addicted to sex or gambling. Some people are addicted to work or working out. There's all kinds of addictive patterns. Now, addiction by design is not problematic until it interferes with a reasonable way of life. So there is this cultural context that it butts up against, because contrast, as we've talked about before, contrast matters. So why then am I seeing an increase in sexual behaviors that are problematic? Big picture, there could be a very simple explanation. Now, for some of you, you're going to take this and say it's a political statement. This is not a political statement. But big picture, the fall of every civilization has been preceded by a rise in sexual immorality. Now, sexual immorality does not mean the civilization will fall. But every civilization that has fallen saw an increase in sexual immorality prior to its destruction. Now, why am I saying that? I mean, it could be a very simple explanation for you. Maybe we're about to crumble. Now, for some of you, you're like, oh, he's finally saying it. Look, I'm not saying anything about our political makeup right now. What I'm saying is we ought to be aware that sexual morality is a factor that we can pay attention to and influence in a positive direction so that the chances of us as a nation falling apart goes down. Will it solve it? No. By itself, absolutely not. There's so many factors there. But can it aid in our healing? Absolutely. Absolutely. So what's sexual morality, you then might ask? Sexual morality is what happens when people are harmed because of sexual behaviors. Think about it. You shouldn't murder people. Why do we know that? Because it's built in. It's built in. People who murder are not good people. Now, there's this fuzzy line between murder and killing, right? So there's this is how they get you. Okay, I'm helping you out here, I hope. If sexual morality is going down, then we're going to see more harm come from sexual patterns. You're like, I'm looking at pornography. I'm not causing a problem. Are you, though? A lot of people will justify things like that and say, I'm not harming anybody. Let me be really abundantly clear. If you're looking at pornography, you are harming somebody. 100% guaranteed. Is it direct? Probably not, but maybe. Oftentimes it's indirect harm. Let me paint it for you. If 1 million people today look at a picture of somebody naked, especially in a time where social media is what it is, where access is what it is, what that does is it encourages a whole bunch of people who may not otherwise have put out naked pictures to put out naked pictures. You might say, well, that was their decision. It was their decision. I agree. They don't lose responsibility for it, but that doesn't take your responsibility for encouraging it away. Okay. I went down a rabbit hole for you, but let's get back to this. Let's give you some statistics. Sexual addiction. It's suggested that it was about 4 to 6% of the population or thereabouts. It appears to have risen to 6 to 8%, depending on what you look at for statistics. But what I've been researching here is it appears to be on the rise. That's not a massive rise, except there is a major problem here. When it comes to sex addiction, it is grossly underreported because we don't talk about it. So what I'm doing today is saying, hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk about sex addiction. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about addiction just in general, people. Let's talk about the things that we are being told we should not talk about. How do we find moral centers most of the time in a culture? We find where the limits are. How can we find the limits to appropriate, healthy sexual interactions if we never find the limits because we never talk about the topic? We don't. So we have to talk about it. You're like, oh, I talk about it all the time with this person and this person, and this person, and this person. Great. I'm happy for you. No, I'm happy for you. If you are one of the people talking about it, that's great. Unfortunately, what we do, just like on social media, we create these pockets of people who believe the way that we do, and then we think it's normal. We think certain things are acceptable and normal. Like it's normal to have multiple partners. It's normal to feel pain. It's normal if consent is only moderately respected. No, it's not. But if we don't talk about it, then you have no evidence to the contrary. So we have to talk about it. And we say it's 6 to 8% of US adults could be classified as addicts of sex. 6 to 8%. Do the math. That's millions of people. Here's another stat for you. 4.7 million adults spend up to or more than 11 hours per week looking at pornography. And we think something like, we're right in the middle of March Madness. We think something like March Madness creates some inefficiencies. What kind of inefficiencies is this creating? Okay, we'll do some basic math here. 11 hours per week. You spend 40 hours or so at work. All right. You spend 7 times 8, so 56 hours sleeping. That 11 hours is massive. Oh my gosh, people. 4.7 million adults are spending 11 hours or more Holy smokes. That's a problem. And we wonder why sex is going down, but sexual deviance is going up. Immorality. 11 hours of porn a week? Oh my gosh. What does sex do to the brain? Well, let's just take a look at this for just a second, too. In the brain, whether you're male or female, you have the same response at orgasm, the same response. Your parasympathetic and your sympathetic nervous system both peak. Why does that matter? Because we still haven't found a drug in the world that can do that to you. Not one. Sex is its most unique drug on the planet. So no wonder people want sex if they can orgasm. If they can't, there's other issues. I have recently been hearing more and more and more about these sexless marriages. These are encouraging dysfunction. If you have a husband or you have a wife and you're in a sexless marriage, you need to fix it. Fix it. Find a way to fix it. Because here's the thing, biologically, when it's your spouse, it's good for you. Why do I say it that way? Because the relationship matters also. Relationship, biology. Relationship, biology. If sex addiction is going up, there are many causes. And if I'm being really transparent with what I'm seeing in my practice, I have to tell you, husbands and wives, you have a responsibility to your husband and wife. You absolutely do. Not to prevent them from going to pornography or going to have an affair. But let's be real. Why would anybody do that if they were getting their sexual wants or needs met where they are? I'm not saying it's going to cure everybody. Some people are just not well in this department. And if we look at it statistically, my guess is it's less than 3% because most dysfunctions are less than 3% of the population. They're not 6 to 8. Let me give you another thing to think about. Men across the globe, the vast majority, upwards of 90+%, are visually stimulated. What does that mean to you women? If you get naked, you will turn them on. Now, a good man, one that has healthy moral boundaries, will resist a naked woman who is not their partner, their spouse, or whatever. But 90% of the men on the planet are visually stimulated. That's just a reality. Do what you want with it. Women, for all you men, this is good information for you, are narratively stimulated, meaning you have to flirt with them, help them to get their own narrative juices in their brain, not in their body, in their brain flowing. Their emotions have to be tickled. Their mind has to be creating a story and a narrative. And that's the vast majority of women on the planet, regardless, again, of culture or upbringing. So men, if you think you can get naked and turn a woman on, you're probably not correct. There are exceptions. Just like there's like about 10% of the male population who might be stimulated in other ways besides visual. I'm not playing the exceptions game for you today. I'm trying to give you the information you need to raise your morality just a little bit, so that we can reduce the sexual immorality that we see all around us and potentially impact sex addiction. Why? Because I don't want to see it on the rise. It's not good for any of us. And it's tempting for almost all of us in some form or another. Now, you might ask, is this just a male problem? No. It is not just a male problem. There are many women who have sex addiction also. And that's even more grossly underreported. The difference, oftentimes, is that women have more self-control with the addiction. So they, unfortunately, can hide it better. But they shouldn't do that. They don't need to do that. If they've got a man in their life, they can absolutely say, look, I want more. And that man needs to show up, just like the woman needs to show up. Now, am I suggesting that you forego your comfort level to please your partner? Yes, sometimes I am. Because relationally, we always do this. It's not, look, I'm not saying allow forced sex, non-consent. No, what I'm saying is it's not always going to be the same every time. It's not going to be perfect. Giving yourself up relationally happens all the time. Not necessarily in the physical sense, but it ought to, in some situations, happen in that sense too. Why do we know this? Maybe you think mushrooms are mediocre as a food, but your spouse loves mushrooms. So mushrooms end up in many of the dishes that you're eating, and you tolerate it, not because you love it, but because it's good for them. We make those kinds of relational sacrifices all the time. Why would it be any different with sex? And again, don't mistake this as it's a free-for-all. It is not. But there is a certain aspect of sacrifice that does come with sexual behaviors when you're in a committed relationship. I wanted to hit this today because it's on the rise. There are so many other angles I could take on here. I'm going to drop this. I'm going to see what you, as the audience, need me to go into greater detail on. I am happy to do it. I deal with this stuff all the time in my practice. And the truth is, we're not talking about it in the right ways and enough. So if this has made you think about some things, if this sparks something in you that says, we need to talk about this more, please participate. Drop me a note. Let me know what it is you think we should be talking about. Should we talk about LGBTQ? Should we talk about what it means to be a man and sexually? What it means to be a woman sexually? What should we be talking about next, folks? Let's not shy away from this topic. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we appreciate your time and we look forward to your participation. Let us know what you think we need to go deeper into, and we will try to put that out and get you some information if you don't have it, or reiterate some information if you think it would be helpful to the general population. But let's do this together, folks. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. We appreciate our audience a lot, so we give you some simple ways to track us down. Please like, subscribe, and follow all the podcasts on different platforms. But you can also email us at healthyperspectives@protonmail.com, or you can check out our website at healthy-perspectives.com/podcast. It's a backward slash. So if you want to go to our landing page, if you go to healthy-perspectives.com, you'll still find us. You just got to click on the podcast button. Thank you so much.